Your new business is doing great, and it's time to expand. If the demand for your products is greater than your current ability to produce them, leasing larger equipment may seem like a good idea. However, that fine print can easily trip you up. These are the 4 biggest mistakes people make with equipment leases that you'll want to avoid. Mistake number 1, not doing your research. Fraud among leasing companies has grown exponentially in recent years. One example is a company called Connie's Disposal Service in Richmond, Virginia, which got a $250,000 line of credit from Alliance Funding Group to lease equipment. The company billed Connie's twice for interest payments, so Connie's cancelled the deal, but only got a fraction of their money back after Alliance deducted unnamed fees. This is actually a very common story among small businesses, which are often forced to pay a large upfront fees because they need the equipment to keep going. Leasing companies have been known to defraud not just their customers, but investors as well. A Santa Barbara company called Essex, and its founder Ralph T. Iannelli, were charged by the SEC for making false statements, issuing personal guarantees to investment advisors to induce them to invest large amounts of their clients' money, to the tune of around $80 million. You don't want your business depending on someone who's just interested in a quick payday, so do your research. Go to wiki.easyvid.com and search for our full guide to equipment leases, or click the link beneath this video. Mistake number 2, forgetting to include important points. A good lease agreement will cover not just the terms of the rental, but who is responsible for repair costs, who is liable for injuries, and the option to buy the equipment at the end of the lease. Standard agreements have something called a fair market value residual, which means you will have to make a large payment at the end if you want to keep the equipment. One of the most famous cases of leasing fraud comes from Syracuse, New York. Patrick Bennett ran a Ponzi scheme by using his parents' companies to sell non-existent leases to investors, selling the same leases multiple times, including some that had already been pledged as collateral for loans. Ultimately scamming $600 million, he eventually spent 22 years in prison after playing with so many people's livelihoods. Mistake number 3, not doing the math. Sometimes business owners can be so focused on getting their equipment that they forget to run the numbers on how much it will ultimately cost. Beyond the rental charge, there are things like taxes, insurance, maintenance, and other hidden costs. The equipment will do you no good if it gets repossessed, so make sure you can pay the bills before you sign the lease. Mistake number 4, not considering all your options. There are different ways to finance your equipment, and you have to weigh the interest you'll pay against not having to buy it outright now. Consider Ms. Karen Kuhn, who was convinced that she was getting a great deal on a solar panel lease, but didn't realize her contract had a built-in rate that would boost the cost of the electricity by 2.9% annually for 20 years. So for the first few years, she saved on her energy bill, but that disappeared, and she was stuck paying that pricey lease. No matter how trivial it may seem, signing a lease agreement gives you a strong obligation towards your provider. A credit card machine company called Northern Leasing has clogged up Manhattan civil court with so many cases that State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman has sued the company for fraud, stating that they ensnare unsuspecting customers in unending lease agreements that they can't get out of. We are not lawyers, and this is not legal advice, but if you're serious about your business, you'll want to make sure the provider is legitimate and that the agreement is sound. And if you do need to get out of your lease, find an attorney who can walk you through your options. For more information, go to wiki.easyvid.com and search for our full guide to equipment leases, or click the link beneath this video.